It was supposed to be just another Friday night with him. That's how it always started. Nothing serious, nothing fancy. Just me and my best friend, sprawled across the couch, half dead from the week, controllers in our hands and a pile of empty cans on the table. We'd been doing this for years. Ever since high school, our bond had been built on competition, teasing, and the kind of trust that only came from knowing each other's flaws inside out. He knew I was terrible at staying focused. I knew he was secretly a sore loser, even though he acted like nothing ever rattled him. We balanced each other out. But there was something different about that night. I don't know if it was the way the rain outside made everything feel closer, more intimate, or if it was just the silence between games, thick and heavy in a way I couldn't shake. He sat too close, his leg brushing against mine whenever he shifted. And even though I told myself it didn't mean anything, I felt the heat burn through the denim of my jeans. I stole glances at him. He wasn't even doing anything unusual. Just leaning back, one hand draped lazily across the back of the couch, his shirt riding up slightly so that a line of skin peeked out. It was casual, careless, but I couldn't look away. "Bro, you're trash at this game," he said suddenly, breaking the silence. His grin was cocky, but his eyes were sharp, like he'd caught me staring. "Please," I shot back, my voice steadier than I felt. "You only win because you cheat." "Cheat?" He laughed, throwing his head back. "Nah, you're just bad. Admit it." The banter was normal. We always trashed each other, always found some reason to start a mock argument. But that night, it felt heavier, like there was something under the words simmering. I tried to laugh it off, reaching for another can. His eyes followed me, lingering longer than they should have. "Why you looking at me like that?" I asked, keeping it playful. He smirked. "Like what?" "Like you're trying to size me up." He leaned in just slightly, and I swear the air shifted. "Maybe I am. It was a joke. It had to be. That's what we did, turned everything into some dumb game of one-upmanship." But my chest tightened all the same. "Don't start with your weird stuff, man," I muttered, even as my lips curled into a nervous smile. "Weird." His voice dropped, lower than usual. "You wouldn't last if I actually came at you." The words hung in the air. The controller in my hand suddenly felt useless, too light, too small compared to the weight of his stare. I chuckled, but it sounded shaky. "What? You think you can take me?" "Bro, I know I can take you." Something flickered in his eyes. Challenge. Heat. Maybe both. My throat went dry, but I forced myself to smirk back. That was how we worked, never backing down, even when the ground beneath us started to shift. "You're all talk," I said. His grin widened. "You sure about that?" And then he did something he'd never done before. He reached over and shoved me lightly in the chest, just enough to knock me back against the couch cushions. His hand lingered for a second too long, pressing against me, firm, steady. It should have felt like nothing. Just another bro move. Rough housing. We'd wrestled before, shoved each other around, gotten into stupid play fights that always ended with laughter. But this wasn't the same. This touch carried weight. His eyes didn't leave mine. "See?" he whispered, and for the first time that night, my pulse raced for a reason I couldn't deny. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my cool, but my body betrayed me. The warmth spread through my chest where his palm rested. Every nerve lit up like fire. "Don't," I said, though my voice lacked conviction. "Don't what?" His lips quirked into a half-smile. "Don't win. Don't prove you wrong." I pushed his hand away, but not with the force I should have. My skin missed the weight of it as soon as it was gone. The game screen blinked in front of us, waiting for us to press play, but neither of us moved. The room felt smaller now, like the walls were closing in, pressing us closer together. He leaned back again, casual, like nothing happened, but I caught the way his eyes dragged over me before he picked up his controller. "Your turn," he said smoothly, like we hadn't just crossed a line. I fumbled with the buttons, my hands suddenly clumsy. The game started, but I barely saw the screen. All I could focus on was him, the curve of his grin, the way his knee brushed mine every so often, the weight of the silence between jokes. And underneath it all, a truth I wasn't ready to admit yet, this was no longer just a game. I don't remember who won that next round. Probably him. He always found a way to edge me out, but my head wasn't in the game anymore. Every glance, every shift of his body next to mine, it was all I could feel. My skin was alive, tuned to the frequency of him. Focus, bro, he teased as he landed another easy win. You're making this too easy for me. Shut up, I muttered, though my lips twitched into a smile. I wanted to sound annoyed, but truthfully, I was relieved. Relieved that he was talking, joking, like we hadn't just teetered on the edge of something unspoken. Still, my nerves buzzed. I tried to keep my eyes on the screen, but the pull toward him was magnetic. The way his forearm flexed when he moved the controller, the rise and fall of his chest as he laughed, the faint scent of cologne mixed with sweat that filled the air between us. He caught me looking again. I knew because his grin shifted, softer this time, almost knowing. What? I asked defensively. You, he said simply, like that explained everything. My heart stumbled. What about me? He tilted his head, his eyes tracing me slowly, deliberately, before he shrugged. You're off tonight. Distracted. I swallowed hard, trying to play it cool. Yeah, well, maybe I just don't care about this stupid game anymore. His eyebrows rose. Oh, so if I beat you again, you won't mind? I didn't say that. He chuckled, leaning closer, his voice dropping low. Admit it, bro. You like when I win. You like when I push you around. The words hit me harder than I expected. My body stiffened, heat curling low in my stomach. It was supposed to be a joke. It had to be, but there was an edge to his tone, sharp and teasing, like he was testing how much truth he could slip past me. I forced a laugh. You wish. His eyes narrowed, playful but intent. Do I? Before I could answer, he tossed his controller aside and shifted suddenly, his weight pressing against me as he pinned me back into the couch cushions. Bro, what the hell? My protest caught in my throat as I realized how close he was. His chest against mine, his breath hot on my face, his knee wedged between my legs. It was roughhousing, sure. Just another one of our stupid play fights. But the way he held me down was different this time. His grip was firm, deliberate, not letting me move even when I twisted against him. Say it, he challenged, his voice husky. Say I win. I glared up at him, trying to ignore the way my pulse thundered. Get off me, not until you admit it. Admit what? That you like this. His smirk was dangerous now, sharper than any grin I'd seen from him before. My breath caught. He couldn't know. He shouldn't know. But the way his eyes burned into mine, it felt like he'd already read the truth straight off my skin. You're insane, I muttered, my voice betraying me with its shake. Am I? His gaze dropped, lingering on my mouth for just a heartbeat too long. When his eyes met mine again, there was no mistaking it. This wasn't just a game to him anymore. Something in me wanted to shove him off, to break the moment before it shattered everything we were. But another part, louder, hotter, hungrier, wanted him to keep going. He must have seen it, the hesitation, the flicker of desire I thought I'd hidden. His grin widened, triumphant. Knew it, he whispered. Then, as if to prove his point, he leaned down and brushed his lips near my ear, not quite touching, but close enough that my skin prickled. Bro, I whispered, my voice caught somewhere between warning and plea. Relax, he murmured. It's just a joke. But it wasn't. We both knew it wasn't. His hand slid up my chest, slow and deliberate, before he finally pushed himself back, giving me space to breathe again. I sat up quickly, my pulse still racing, my body betraying every attempt to act unaffected. You're crazy, I said, grabbing for my controller like it could anchor me back to normalcy. He just smirked, stretching out lazily like he hadn't just turned my entire world upside down. Admit it was funny, though. Not funny, I muttered. Come on. You almost tapped out. His grin was infuriating, cocky, but there was something else in his eyes, something that told me he wasn't done. The game started again, but neither of us cared about winning anymore. Every move, every brush of his arm against mine was electric. The air between us was heavy, charged with something that had no name, something we both pretended not to see, but couldn't ignore. He leaned closer as the match played out, his shoulder pressed against mine. You know, he said casually, I could have kept you down longer. You wouldn't stand a chance if I actually went all out. I rolled my eyes, trying to mask the heat crawling up my neck. You're full of yourself. Maybe, he said, grinning. Or maybe I just know you better than you think. The way he said it made my stomach flip. I gripped the controller tighter, forcing my focus on the screen, but all I could feel was his presence, solid and overwhelming beside me. "Want to bet on it?" he asked suddenly. On what? If I beat you again, you admit you like it when I push you around. I laughed, too loud, too forced. That's the dumbest bet I've ever heard. Scared? He challenged, his grin wicked. No. Then say yes. The confidence in his voice, the way his eyes gleamed, it was impossible to look away. I should have said no. I should have ended it right there. But instead, I smirked back, my pride not letting me back down. Fine, I said. He leaned in, so close I could feel his breath on my cheek. Deal. And in that moment, I knew I'd already lost, not the game, but myself. He won. Of course he won. The game ended in seconds, and I sat there, controller limp in my hand, staring at the screen like maybe it would rewrite itself if I looked hard enough. But it didn't. His victory flashed bright and merciless, while his grin spread slow and dangerous across his face. Deal's a deal, he said softly. I swallowed, heat crawling up my neck. That was luck. Luck. He tossed his controller onto the table and leaned toward me, his eyes locked on mine. Bro, you agreed. No backing out now. My chest tightened. It was still a joke, right? Just some stupid dare between us. That's what I told myself, even as my body buzzed with anticipation. You're insane, I muttered, shaking my head. Maybe. His grin sharpened. But you like it. Before I could protest, he lunged again, shoving me flat against the couch cushions. His weight pressed into me, heavy and warm, his hand pinning my wrists above my head. I struggled instinctively, but it was half-hearted, my strength faltering the moment his body aligned with mine. Say it, he demanded, his voice low, dangerous. My breath came shallow. Say what? That you like this. My throat closed up. The words hovered, unspoken, but the truth was already in my eyes. He saw it. I knew he saw it, because his smirk softened into something hotter, hungrier. Bro, I whispered, my last attempt at resistance. He cut me off with a growl of a laugh, his breath hot against my ear. Relax. It's just a joke. But it wasn't. God, it wasn't. He released one of my wrists only to run his hand down my chest, slow, deliberate, leaving fire in its wake. My skin tingled, my body arching into his touch, even as my mind screamed at me to stop. See, he murmured. Told you I could take you. Something inside me snapped. The fight drained out of me, replaced by a surge of heat so fierce it left me dizzy. I didn't push him off this time. I didn't pull away. I let him hold me down, let him press closer until there was no space left between us. My breathing hitched as his grip tightened, his voice rough with triumph. Knew you'd fold. Shut up, I hissed, though my voice cracked with something dangerously close to want. He chuckled darkly, his lips brushing my jaw. Not quite a kiss, but enough to send shivers ripping down my spine. Make me. The challenge in his words lit me up. My pride should have pushed back, but my body betrayed me, shivering under his weight, craving more. And then, without hesitation, he shifted, stronger, bolder, flipping me onto my stomach with a force that stole my breath. Bro. My protest died the second his hand pressed firmly against the small of my back, holding me down, claiming control. My pulse thundered, my chest tight with adrenaline, fear, and a rush of something I didn't dare name. He leaned down, his mouth at my ear, his voice rough, ragged. Told you I'd bend you over. The words detonated inside me. Every wall, every excuse, every flimsy shield I'd put up between us crumbled in an instant. I gasped, my fingers clawing at the couch, my body betraying every thought screaming in my head. It wasn't supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to go this far. But the truth was undeniable now. I didn't want him to stop. Not tonight. Not ever. He moved with certainty, with fire, every motion a claim, every sound from my lips fuel for his grin. He pinned me harder when I tried to hide it, forcing me to admit with my body what I couldn't say out loud. The line between us dissolved. There was no joke, no game, no pretense. Just heat, raw and relentless, tearing through every boundary we thought we had. And when it ended, when the storm finally ebbed and I collapsed against the cushions, trembling and undone, he stayed there. Close. Heavy. Solid. The room was silent except for our ragged breathing. The game menu blinked on the TV, waiting for input, oblivious to the fact that our lives had just cracked open. He shifted slightly, his chest pressed against my back, his arm draped lazily around my waist like he'd always belonged there. Still think it was just a joke? he whispered, his lips brushing the shell of my ear. I should have answered. I should have said yes or no or anything that made sense. But all I could manage was a broken laugh, my face buried in the cushions. Bro, my voice was hoarse, unsteady. You're an asshole. He chuckled, low and satisfied. Yeah, but you like it. I turned my head, meeting his eyes at last. And for the first time, I didn't look away. Yeah, I admitted, my voice soft but sure. I do. His grin spread slow, hot, unapologetic. Good. 'Cause I'm not done with you. And in that moment, with his hand firm against me and his eyes burning through mine, I knew there was no going back. Not after this. Not after him.